What is going on, everybody? Shout out to everybody joining us right now. This is the Wi-Fi Willie Show. Gonna let some people file in. I know you guys are coming in right now. We got a lot to talk about. So much. Raiders news. The whole NFL world news. Bunch of drama and also some sad things going on in the world. But we're going to try to break everything down and have a really fun live stream and try to do this more often where we break down all the stories happening around the NFL. By the way, I have a lot more people chime in here. We are going to have, for those of you who are watching way later, we are going to have, hopefully, chapters below so you can follow along, because we know most of you are not going to be watching live. And so for those of you, be on the lookout for chapters. We'll cover your favorite story. Shout out to everybody hanging out right now. Yes, Dial-Up Audrey's in the other room right now helping me get ready for this live stream. Shout out to all of you hanging out. So I want to get more people involved that, we're going to have text to speech. And, sorry, I made a little mistake here. We're going to go ahead and do, if the super chat is at least $10, there will be text to speech. You can hear the voice pop up on this live stream. If you want to interrupt me, if you want to roast me, go ahead. It doesn't matter. We're going to be doing all that. So that should be a lot of fun. Appreciate all the people filing in right now. Hopefully you're not watching an ad. I hate ads. But what we have on the docket today, remind me. We got some Raiders hires to talk about. Some new updates have happened about the quarterback class. That is what's going on. And I think we are going to have our first text to speech. We'll see what's happening there. This is a new feature that we're going to be working on. Fresno, shout out to Fresno. Let me know where you guys are rocking from right now. Let me know where you're rocking from right now. We also have some Chris Jones rumors. We're going to talk about the parade. There's been some drama about the parade. Brandon Ayuk's in the news. The 49ers and Brandon Staley, too, former Chargers coach. There's something going on there. Chris Jones, a lot to talk about. Shout out to all of you. We got some Oakland. We got some Stockton. Different people. And we got Dial-Up Audrey with a super chat getting us started on the text to speech. A little bit of a delay, but I think it'll come in eventually. So this is good to test it now, figure it out later. Sacramento, what is up? Shout out to you. Visalia. Damn, so it takes a long time, huh? Modesto. I like Modesto. Great food. Great food in Modesto. Bakersfield. You always got to give a shout out to Bako.
You a DC meat writer for real. Clickbait TMZ mother trucker. Not gonna lie though, your thumbnails are straight fire.
Thumbnails are straight fire coming from Dial-Up Audrey. I love it. Text to speech, man. Say whatever you want. I'm not doing any censorship because I think that's why she had to put mother trucker there. But YouTube might do some. But hey, we're going to have that feature while we break down the news. And shout out to Dial-Up Audrey for getting us started the right way. DCD rider. That's what you are, a DCD rider. Well, hey, let's ride and figure out some of the latest news dropping right now around the NFL. Kicking it off with some Raiders stuff, and then we have a lot more to talk about. And just a memento. But first things first, a new update in terms of the Raiders. We know that Antonio Pierce, Raiders head coach, is assembling his coaching staff right now as we speak. And we have different people talking about the fact that he's made some hires that are quite interesting. And there's nothing wrong with a little bit of nepotism. You know, a little bit of nepotism, that is something that happens every once in a while. Nothing too crazy about that, in my opinion. It's a fact of life, right? And we have Antonio Pierce's son, Deandre Pierce, joining the Raiders coaching staff as an assistant offensive coach. He was a quality control coach on the defensive side of the football at Cal Poly San Luis Obispo in 2023 and played defensive back under his father at Arizona State. So he was there at Arizona State, with Jayden Daniels, who was there at Arizona State for a while. Jack Jones, who was out there at Arizona State for a little bit. So Pierce, getting Pierce Jr., DeAndre Pierce, young Pierce in the mix here. And one thing that was pretty interesting that I saw, like, you see these people posting about this Pierce thing, DeAndre Pierce being hired as part of the Raiders coaching staff. But I actually saw on Twitter, if I'm not mistaken, DeAndre Pierce was posting this himself. Like, he was the first one to technically break the news when you think about it. Now let's find, maybe he deleted his account. I mean, hopefully he didn't get trolled or anything, but he was the first one to really break this down. And I remember it popping up. We'll find that in a little bit. Nonetheless, you have this here, hiring his son. I mean, that's cool. You get your family involved, and it also shows, in my opinion, it shows how much control Pierce is having with the Raiders. The fact that you're able to go ahead and hire your son if you want. You're able to do that. You could say, hey, I want to hire my son. I want him to be part of the staff. And there's nothing wrong with that. Look, John Gruden, he hired Deuce Gruden as a strength coach, and that ended up being a good hire. Even under Josh McDaniels, Deuce Gruden remained the strength coach for the Raiders. I mean, it was a move that lasted tons of time. So I don't think there's anything wrong with hiring a family like that. A little bit of nepotism, that's what happens. But just shows that Pierce is running the show, has a little bit more control than maybe we realize, able to pull some strings and get his freaking son involved there. So shout out to him. By the way, Davante Adams. We got an update on Davante Adams. Remember, in 2022, not this past season, but the one before that with Josh McDaniels, he did technically bump into a cameraman, shove a cameraman, blah, blah, blah. That's what happened. It was a big deal back then. And he is not going to face any discipline. Like, they delayed this. We didn't know for sure if maybe he would get some discipline. For those of you who don't remember, I mean, I'm sure a lot of you remember what happened here, but Davante, was heated. He had a BS call. I still believe he was in bounds, by the way. He had a BS call where they did not call him in bounds. Raiders could have freaking beat, the Chiefs that night in 2022. But the guy was in the way. It was a little sus. Obviously Davante has a visor. He's not supposed to be walking in that tunnel area anyways, and he was. It was almost like he was trying to get something to happen. Davante, I mean, look, if I'm going to be neutral, he did technically, there is some... He did stick his arms out. Okay, I will say that. And hey, no discipline for Davante Adams. I mean, hey, that's good to see. So he's not going to be suspended. He's going to be fine, and that's good. That's good news for not only Davante Adams on the Raiders, but also depending on what happens in the future. We don't necessarily know. I'm not going to sit here and act like I for sure know Davante Adams is going to be on the Raiders in 2023. I mean, I think I'd be lying to you if I said that, because look, there is a possibility things change. We know he intended to play with Derek Carr and really enjoys Aaron Rodgers, has been hanging out with Aaron Rodgers. That's his guy. So something can happen. And the Raiders need to, if the Raiders want a QB like Jayden Daniels, they're going to have to trade up. I don't think you're going to send Max Crosby away. Seems like Davante Adams would be more likely to be one of those pieces that you do trade to move up. But hey, prosecutors dismissed the misdemeanor assault charge against Adams last summer. The league opened it up, and now it's closed, and things are going to be good to go for Davante Adams there. Who knows what's going to happen? I'm not acting like I know everything that's going to happen. So we got that going on, the Pierce hiring of his son. And then another thing that's a big deal, something that's a little under the radar that we don't always notice, is the fact that the Niners are hiring the Raiders' assistant offensive line coach, Cameron Clemens, to be the assistant offensive line coach for the Niners. So we had Carmen Brasillo as the Raiders' offensive line coach. He has since moved on to the Giants, and now plucking away more people from the offensive staff. Seems more likely, and it makes more sense that the new offensive coordinator Luke Getsy, the Raiders, is going to choose his staff. And you had this interesting comment here from Jermaine Illuminor, right tackle the Raiders. Who knows if he's going to be re-signed by the Raiders? That's not for sure set in stone. But hey, he said he deserved to be more than an assistant. Any team would be lucky to have him. One of the best coaches I've had in the league. And an even better person, Niners are lucky to have him. So big praise by Jermaine Illuminor for the assistant offensive line coordinator. Her offensive line coach. Appreciate you guys in the chat. Get those likes up too, by the way. We got so much more news to talk about. And we're going to keep trucking for all those people watching later. And hey, another thing that we're doing, we had it tested at the beginning. If you do want to chime in with a voice, text to speech, $10 super chats will automatically be text to speech. So watch out. It will be heard on this stream. The audio will be there. So check that out. And hey, we got a lot more going on for today. So I don't want to go too crazy into this, but this is the reality of the situation, man. Like, and the reason why this sucks is because it just brings up politics. It divides people. And the thing about sports, and even with my Taylor Swift video I made, I try to just show what other people are saying. I try to be expository. I never actually say, I do say what I think at times, but I'm not really trying to divide people or anything like that. And it sucks that when it comes to the Kansas City Chiefs Super Bowl parade and the mass shooting that happened, that left a mother losing her life. When it comes to all that stuff, I mean, I think what really sucks is that it becomes about politics and not necessarily about the victims and the crime and basically the general tragedy and also understanding what happened. And, you know, it's become this whole thing where it's like different sides try to paint it this way. Oh, was it this type of shooter? Was it this type of shooter? Oh, should we make this law or should we make this law? But it is NFL news. I think it's very important because this event is so insane. And you know what? It's so complicated to talk about this. I mean, I'm going to be completely honest here, man. I recorded a video and I was going to make it and I deleted it because it's just really complicated to talk about this. So instead, I'm going to do it on a live stream, right? but hey, we're getting more updates about it. I think it's a significant event. Mourning all the families involved, and really, it was hard watching some of the footage of people running for their life, and then also hearing about the mother, Lisa, who lost her life in that event. And I do think it's going to significantly change mass sporting events, rallies, parades. Like next year's Super Bowl parade, is that really going to be the same? Is that going to go smoothly, or are people going to go to those parades and not be thinking like, dang, is something sketchy going to happen? And I don't think you can blame like, oh, you know, it happened because of this law or this lack of law. Like, I don't think you could say, I don't know if you could say all that, but definitely that's what people have turned it into. And we're finally getting more clarity on just like what happened. Like who did it and what happened. And right now, just to give people an update for those who are interested in this topic. And like I said, I do think it's worth talking about because I do think it's going to affect future mass sporting events. And, you know, there's 3 people detained for that shooting. One of them was an adult who has since been released. And I think the sad part about this is the 2 main suspects, the 2 who are detained, are minors. They are juveniles. That is what is going on, and that's why it's taken some time to figure out who they are. You know, we haven't seen like the mugshot or the identity released or anything like that. It's taken some time, and it looks like it is because these people are juveniles technically who did this, and it's just like, damn, what is going on in the world where young people are doing stuff like that, man? I mean, it's really crazy. But police chief came out, talked about it, said that the 2 juveniles are currently being held in custody while they work with juvenile prosecutors and determine the applicable charges. And look, and the weird part about all this is like people started putting out information about like, oh, here's what they look like. And so this guy was like, and here's what's crazy. It's not like it's just amateur YouTube people and stuff like that getting this information wrong, I'm going to go ahead and name, because this is a fact, KTLA on YouTube posted this guy in the thumbnail. He is not one of the suspects. This guy was arrested for public intoxication, totally separate from the mass shooting. And news organizations like had him on their thumbnail and stuff like that. So if I was this guy, I would lawyer up, and because that's slander. You know what I mean? Like, they got it wrong in that way. And then images and I can't legally say that these are the suspects. I can't legally say that, but these people were arrested after the shooting. They were detained. You could conclude, I mean, if they're juveniles who are the likely, we know for a fact it's 2 juveniles who are the suspects who are detained. So you use your own reasoning, you know what I mean? But I'm not going to come out there and be like some of these news companies who went out there and just said that this guy was the one who did it. I mean, that's just so crazy that they were so lazy and sloppy with that, man. And it was really disappointing to see that happen. But hey, that's the world we live in, man. People are trying to get clicks. People are trying to get clout. People are just saying whatever, doing minimal research and whatnot. Like I said, I mean, I understand this is a difficult thing to talk about. Shout out to this man, though. And I think it's like, this is so negative. This is so nasty talking about all this stuff, but it's like, there still are things that I wouldn't say like are positive, but I mean, it was really brave of this guy, Paul Contreras, and I think people should celebrate this guy, you know what I mean, in such a nasty situation where one of the suspects who was shooting was running, and then he tackled him and helped make this arrest happen, which is very brave and very awesome for him to do in this crazy moment.
And he's just bailing running. And out of nowhere, I heard that guy hollering, so I'm just like, okay, well, I'm right here. And I didn't even think about it. It just a reaction. I didn't hesitate. It was just.
And so the people, you know what I mean? Like, people come together, you know what I mean? And helped make this arrest happen. But like, look, we still don't know the official identity and all this stuff. And this is like a very negative, like sick story. It's crazy, right? But that's the reality of the situation. Hopefully this stuff doesn't happen again. Hopefully the families could find healing. I mean, what was so sick about this, man, is like, I guess there's over 20 people shot, and half of them are freaking under the age of 16. Basically freaking kids. And I could show you more videos of all this stuff and all kinds of things going on, but another thing is like the dude was spinning in a circle. One of the shooters was spinning in a circle shooting the gun. Like it's just crazy. I don't know. I might leave this topic at that since we're still waiting for more information, but I just wanted to get that main update, clarify that as to who the suspects are, because it seems like that's what a lot of people don't know is like, who are the suspects? We still don't know their names. I mean, it's crazy because the prosecutors only have 24 hours to file charges. Now, I think they're able to get more time because they're juveniles, but that's where we're at. You know, people are trying to figure out who did this, who did that. And, yeah. But hopefully those people, find some healing in that tough time. Now to move on to something a little lighter after that freaking disaster. Sorry about that. Oh man. But, you know, like we gotta figure out, when it comes to, and yeah, all these people are in my thoughts and prayers for sure. And yeah, it's like, it's a tough thing to talk about, but I didn't want to come up here and like avoid that it's happening. And I see some people doing that, and it's kind of like, it's there, you know, it's there. Anyways, so the Raiders need to find a quarterback. A lot of people in the NFL need to find a quarterback right now. And there's about 3 of them. And there's been an official list by Bucky Brooks ranking who were some of the top quarterbacks in the 2024 draft. And we know there's been some connection and links with Antonio Pierce and Jayden Daniels. You have the Arizona connection, and not only the Arizona State connection with Jayden Daniels and Antonio Pierce, but like I showed in my video, and I don't want to just like rewatch my videos and stuff like that, but I'm just going to show that receipt, which is like, which is what I find so funny about, I guess, Antonio Pierce's connection with Jayden Daniels is the fact that they literally, like, Pierce has liked tweets saying that he wants Jayden Daniels. Like, it's kind of just there. It's kind of just pretty open, right? So we had this. If you take a look at so on Twitter, you had Antonio Pierce liking certain posts, and one of the posts that he did like was one in which it had Jayden Daniels hanging out with. It was basically Jayden Daniels hanging out with some Raiders fans, and the Raiders fans took a picture with Jayden Daniels and essentially just said, let me find the freaking clip. Now I'm slacking right here. But yeah, here we go. There we go. So Pierce, like, look, I'm not going to lie. When you're getting into this freaking NFL news crap and you're trying to figure out what the hell is going on, you got to be a little bit of a stalker. So I was like everybody. You're kind of stalking Antonio Pierce's Twitter. You got this picture. And there you go. You know, we see a lot of fights at football games, you know, between, especially the famous Niners, Raiders out there, especially in the Bay Area, very crazy. Yeah, you have this example here where Niners fan and a Raiders fan, they could hang out and unite and be friends. Isn't that sweet, everybody? Niners and Raiders, it doesn't all have to be brawls at the Oakland Coliseum, Levi Stadium, probably Vegas. I mean, I don't know if there's been any recent ones, but it definitely used to happen a lot in Oakland. Either way, back to the topic. This woman posted this picture at a bar. They saw Jayden Daniels, bar or restaurant. Jayden Daniels says he wants to come to the dark side, took this picture. And look, on one level, it's like, all right, whatever. Who gives a shit? Like he posted here, said, hey, he wants to be a Raider, whatever. But what gave this more legs is the fact that Antonio Pierce liked this picture. Antonio Pierce, who's friends with Jayden Daniels, who knows the guy, who knows Jayden Daniels' mom, like I bring up. And I don't bring this up to bring up like negative like shit about the past. Look, there is some negative shit that's happened in the past, right? And it comes down to the recruiting scandal that happened out there at Arizona State. Now, I personally don't think it was that big of a deal. I think that Antonio Pierce caught a lot of shit for it, even though he shouldn't have. Because basically, you were recruiting normally, even though you were supposed to have the restrictive pandemic rules, right? And so this was in 2020, 2021. Jim Harbaugh also got popped for it. And Jayden Daniels' mom, like what's actually interesting about it is the fact that Jayden Daniels' mom was like working with Pierce and helped him. Allegedly, according to some of the reports. So to me, I'm not necessarily looking at that to talk about like the scandal. I'm looking at that to say like you were so close with Jayden Daniels and his mother that you guys actually like worked together to bypass some of those strict recruiting rules back then in 2020 and 2021. So to me, like that's what stands out to me is the connection and the relationship, right? Deep relationships there. Jayden Daniels' mom and Pierce allegedly, in numerous reports, was considered one of the main guys, like one of the main recruiters, and unfortunately got penned the most with the recruiting scandal. So I bring up all that to say like this connection with Jayden Daniels, I believe, is very real, very legitimate. We talked about the fact that the Raiders would probably have to trade up if they wanted to grab somebody, one of the top QBs like Jayden Daniels. And now you're getting more concerned in terms of stock rising, stock falling. Will Jayden Daniels necessarily be there at pick 3? A lot of people assume that he would go early. Now we're hearing a bunch of different things like, hey, maybe the guy will fall a little bit. You have people posting clips, and this is going semi-viral, talking about Jayden Daniels' frame, the fact that he's a smaller QB, but also mobile. and has had a little bit of trouble protecting himself. Like you got that taking big hits like that. You know, you're trying to break a tackle here, and then you get lit up by North Carolina. And it's a whole compilation. I don't want to just show this guy's whole thing, but it's a whole compilation of this dude taking freaking hits. I mean, he's already a smaller guy, and you're taking hits like that. That's a big concern. Now, do I still want the Raiders to draft Jayden Daniels? Hell yeah. As a Raiders fan, hell yeah. What I'm selfishly, even though Jayden Daniels probably wants to be drafted as high as possible, selfishly, seeing things like this where he might fall in the draft, Raiders are picking at pick 13. Maybe the Raiders don't have to trade up that high to get him. If people are concerned about all this, like, yeah, I mean, that would be great for Antonio Pierce and the Raiders. So stock may be falling there, and now we have some more updates on where are the latest rankings in terms of the top QBs in the NFL draft. And you had Bucky Brooks, NFL Network, and look, the NFL analyst, NFL.com analyst, giving his rankings here. And also Michael Penix Jr., his stock has been rising a little bit. But when it comes to quarterback, Jayden Daniels is still number 2, according to Bucky Brooks. Drake May falling a little bit. One rumor that you've been hearing is that J.J. McCarthy has been rising. He's been trending a little bit. Some people have even suggested that he would be above Jayden Daniels. For somebody who wants the Raiders to grab Jayden Daniels, that's good. I would rather his stock rise and Jayden Daniels' stock fall so Antonio Pierce could grab his guy. But this is where it stands. Michael Penix Jr. has those injury concerns. He did really well in practice when it comes to the Senior Bowl practicing, so his stock started rising a little bit. But this is where it stands today. This is going to shuffle and move around a shitload all the way up until draft night. But I think generally the Raiders do need a quarterback. There are a couple other teams that also need a quarterback. And I think as it stands today, it would be very likely that the Raiders would trade up. And any reports coming out that are knocking people's stock, rising people's stock, that is all something the Raiders and other teams that need a quarterback desperately have to be aware of, because it could really change your whole entire offseason plan. We got the Raiders picking at 13. Obviously, the Bears need a quarterback, but they're going to be taking Caleb Williams. You got the Commanders also interested in Caleb Williams. Bears maybe won't take Caleb Williams. Maybe we'll trade. New England needs a quarterback. They're out on Mac Jones now. They're not too happy with that guy. Tennessee already has their guy. Atlanta needs a quarterback. They're above the Raiders. And then Denver also needs a quarterback. So there's a lot of concern here. Raiders, I believe, are going to have to make a big move to grab their guy, even if stock is rising. 70 days until the NFL draft. Let me know. Let me know what you want to see happen. Moving on to some more stories, though. We got some more things cooking up. Just want to remind you, if you guys want to chime in on the action, we do have $10 text-to-speech. The speech will be read out loud by the voice, a wonderful woman's voice. I think her name's Joanna. Wonderful woman. And also, like this stream, if you have not yet, I kind of want to do more news streams like this where we're covering like everything going on in the NFL. Even if it gets a little dicey, like the parade stuff we had to talk about earlier, yikes. But hey, had to bring that stuff up. And another thing that I need to bring up, which is really weird, and I think this is very important when it comes to the draft, because remember last year, the Raiders were picking at pick number 7. The Raiders selected Tyree Wilson, Jalen Carter, still on the board. Jalen Carter ended up going to the Philadelphia Eagles. A lot of people flipped out, started saying, how did you let the Eagles get Jalen Carter? And he did well this past season. But there's been some crazy stories, very disturbing allegations about Jalen Carter coming from John Feliciano. Oddly enough, John Feliciano is a former Raiders offensive lineman, then spent some time with the Buffalo Bills, and now is on the San Francisco 49ers. He has some allegations about Jalen Carter, his behavior during football games. Jalen Carter also has some allegations about him. And there's a lot of crazy stuff going on when it comes to, and I almost want to pull up, because the big reason why Jalen Carter's stock dropped was because of the car accident. One of his friends, two of his friends, lost their life in a tragic car accident while he was at Georgia. I'm trying to find the original thing about that. I think I even have a video about it, honestly, just to show you really quickly so we can get into the latest allegations. But I mean, like, this is very crazy stuff because a lot of things were said, a lot of nasty things were said. And this was so crazy. Remember this. This was so crazy back then that he was supposed to show up at the combine and he like ghosted it. He ghosted it because it was getting so nasty and he had an arrest warrant. So basically, I'm not going to try to cover every detail because I don't want to get everything wrong. Audrey actually made the video, knows more about me. She's speaking up about it in the chat. Carter's female friend from the training staff was racing and Carter followed and then she fatally crashed. And I believe she was also racing a teammate. So there was like 3 people involved here. Carter was not available at the scene of the accident when the police arrived. So that is why he kind of came under fire, because it allegedly, it looked like he allegedly fled the scene. We don't know for a fact, right? But it appeared that way to people. And it reminded people of the Ruggs situation, obviously. And it was rough. It was rough to see. And these are the friends who, unfortunately, Georgia player, Georgia staff member, who they passed away in this moment. And, you know, thoughts and prayers to their family still. And lost a life, that's always tragic, always tough. You know what I mean? It seemed like he kind of flipped out once the accident happened after the race and sort of fled the scene. I mean, obviously he's a high profile guy. He didn't really know what to do in that situation. But it was tough, man. It was tough and happened kind of late at night at 2:30 in the morning. People were driving 104 an hour. The teammate and the staff member were drunk. They had a blood alcohol level of 1.9, twice the legal limit. So it was kind of one of those things where it's like, geez, like, you know, do you want to draft this guy? This is some nasty stuff. At the same time, you feel bad for him because it's like his friends and family are involved. Obviously, he doesn't want to see anything bad happen to them. I think we have some audio. Continuing to watch this video. Apparently, LaCroix's car, according to official reports, struck a curb with its front passenger tire before going on to strike a power pole before another utility pole cut the car in half. Her car then hit a tree and the car spun around clockwise before hitting another tree. Georgia O-lineman Devin Willock, who was in her car, was thrown out of the car and died at the scene. LaCroix apparently died later of injuries at the hospital. So I don't want to get all into this, but over 40 miles per hour above the speed limit. It was a big freaking tragic deal. It was a huge story last year, going into the draft. Exonerated of any criminal, arrest warrants, all kinds of crazy stuff, right? And so now, okay. So what happened is originally, John Feliciano blamed one of his teammates for messing up on a block during the Super Bowl. And what happened is Jalen Carter said that in week 13, when the Niners played the Eagles, that John Feliciano was talking trash on his dead teammate, talking trash on these people that we mentioned earlier, like as a way to trash talk him during the game. Obviously, that's incredibly insensitive. Obviously, that's jacked up. At the same time, we know this is what competitive athletes do. We know they try to get into each other's head and trash talk people, right? But look, jacked up. You know, if I was in that situation, I don't know what I'd do. I'd be so pissed off. You know what I mean? So That is something that Jalen Carter said. And he brought this up. He brought this up publicly. And then now afterwards, John Feliciano responded to Jalen Carter's claim. So Jalen Carter's saying, hey, he mocked my dead friends, mocked my dead teammate during a game after he's trying to be Mr. High and Mighty here, calling out some people for not doing their job while blocking and whatnot during the game. And this is what Jalen Carter did. Now, I can find some more information about it. Another thing that happened here, let me just pull it up real quick. So John Feliciano responded to this, and what he said was pretty freaking wild. So John Feliciano responds and claims that Jalen Carter was also doing something a little extra and a little crazier than even John Feliciano. I mean, the story does not end there. It's quite freaking wild, to be completely honest. And I'm going to see if I can find some more receipts for this, but this is just what I have right now. So John Feliciano says that Jalen Carter threatened to kill him during the game. Dude told me he was going to murder me and my kids my kids would never see me again 3 times because I was laughing at him after getting a flag. I said, I believe you got a body. Then he continued for weeks posting my family and reaching out to my friends. So it seems like John Feliciano is claiming that Jalen Carter was posting pictures of his family and also sort of started this and threatened his life. And that's what triggered him to mock him and say, you got a body, because he was involved in that accident. So a lot of he said, she said here. So yes, here's the original receipt. So where Jalen Carter said, same dude who spoke on my dead teammate and the reason I was emotional during our game. During the Week 13 game, Jalen Carter saying he was emotional because this guy is speaking on his freaking dead teammate. But then John Feliciano tries to clap back at this, saying that the dude said he was going to murder me and my kids would never see me again. Lots of freaking wicked stuff, dude. Wicked stuff. So when it comes to seeing Jalen Carter fall in draft stock, it's like, we don't know these people. We don't know how they're like. If any of this is true, and this is a lot of he said, she said, but if any of this is true, kind of makes sense why some teams passed on the guy. Maybe it kind of makes sense that you might not want this dude a part of your team if he's kind of like a psycho threatening to kill. If this is true, this is all allegedly. This is all he said, she said. I'm not going to say anything's definitively true. And it's like, if this guy's really threatening people like that, I mean, you probably don't want this guy part of your organization. Maybe that's why he fell. And is this here's my thing. Once you see somebody do something like this, as following the NFL as closely as I do, this is what always happens. There are certain people who do things like this, who you hear about. And it usually pops up again and again. Jalen Carter already has these problems. You got the threats. You got the accidents. You got all this stuff. Is this really the last time we're going to hear about this? Is this really going to be the last time we're going to hear about this guy in the news? I think the Eagles are going to have a big problem with him. I think a lot of teams maybe pass on him for a reason. And I don't think this is going to be the last story we hear of Jalen Carter doing something highly inappropriate, highly offensive, and borderline illegal. Right? So we got to keep our eyes posted on this. And even though some people are really great athletes, really talented people, not always the case. And somebody, not always the case that they'd be the best choice based on some of their activity. And a good point that somebody brought up is NFL mic'd up needs to sort this out. I mean, yeah, people are mic'd up all the time. Like, why aren't we able to hear? We could figure this out and see what's going on with this guy. It'd be very easy to figure out. And this is the alleged threat This is insane. Now, I don't want to show the pictures with the kids, but this is what happened. And this is Jalen Carter's Instagram. Breadman Jalen, I'm your biggest fan. I'll get up with you. I don't know what the hell that even means, but based on what Feliciano says, a little sketchy. This is definitely a little sketchy here. But moving on from that, man, just wanted to break that down a little bit. Trying to cover some of the other crazy stories happening in the NFL as we reach into offseason. By the way, free agency in the new league year is going to be starting in less than 28 days. It's right around the corner. New stories are coming out. So recently, the 49ers fired Steve Wilks as their defensive coordinator. Now, a lot of people sort of, shaded Kyle Shanahan, the head coach of the 49ers, for firing Steve Wilks because in the Super Bowl specifically, Steve Wilks did a great job. However, if you look at the Niners season as a whole, I mean, I personally, with how much talent they have, you got Chase Young, you got Bosa. I mean, you got a loaded D line there, and like they still struggled at times and they still give up points at times. You even have Cleveland Farrell. You even have Cleveland Farrell, former Raider. He's a backup there. I mean, you got depth on your front seven. You got a loaded roster, and it just seemed like Steve Wilks, it's just like he didn't live up to the expectations, so he got let go. The crazy twist that's happening now for the Niners and Kyle Shanahan is it looks like they may get Brandon Staley. Brandon Staley, who was fired by the LA Chargers. Him and Tom Telesco were fired after the Raiders broke a freaking record, scoring over 60 points against them. Obviously, it seemed like the guy was going to get fired anyways. But it looks like it looks like the Niners may seriously go there, replacing Steve Wilks with Brandon Staley. You know what I mean? So let's check this out. Shout out to everybody hanging out here right now. Something Brandon Staley will land in San Francisco as the next defensive coordinator. This is Mike Florio talking about this. So obviously we know he was fired. We know that Steve Wilks, former Panthers head coach, defensive guy, fired as the defensive coordinator of the Niners. And it looks like they're still going to stay with that 4-3 defense. The Niners have a 4-3 defense. And no indication yet that Shanahan will interview Staley. But what's so twisted about this, and the reason why people are so pissed off at Kyle Shanahan and the 49ers for firing Steve Wilks like this, and the reason why it also doesn't seem that smart, is because you fired the guy after the coaching hiring cycle. A lot of these teams already hired their defensive coordinator. They already hired their coaching staffs. You waited to fire Steve Wilks, you being Kyle Shanahan, the head coach of the Niners, and John Lynch, the GM of the Niners. You literally waited until after there's no jobs available. So Steve Wilks is kind of screwed here, where he can't really go find another job because they're all filled already. So the Niners kind of fucked him over. They kind of fucked him over in a dirty way where, like, if you would have literally fired the dude or 2 weeks ago, at least he'd be able to find a job. Now, the main reason why Brandon Staley may be the defensive coordinator of the San Francisco 49ers is because who else is available? It's either like what, Rex Ryan or Brandon Staley. Those are really your only options at this point. I don't know who else you can get. Pete Carroll? Some people were suggesting, do you get Pete Carroll to be the D coordinator? Or like Florio was saying, Belichick or Mike Vrabel. Now, at the same time, I don't think you could do a big personality like Vrabel, Belichick, or Pete Carroll working with Kyle Shanahan. I think Kyle Shanahan has a big ego. Those guys have big egos. They've done big things in their career. But Brandon Staley, he's kind of like Cliff Kingsbury, where you're recently fired as a head coach. You're still young for coaches, and you got to kind of build your career back and bounce back and to get another head coaching job. Somebody like Belichick, Vrabel, Pete Carroll, way too accomplished to work under somebody like Kyle Shanahan, in my opinion. So I do think, and I do agree with Mike Florio here, and this is what the rumor mill is happening right now, and this is going wild, trending on social media. I do think Brandon Staley will become the defensive coordinator of the San Francisco 49ers and try to build his career back after being fired from the LA Chargers. I do believe that is probably what's going to happen at this point because he's the best option available. We'll see what happens though. Like Kyle Shanahan, I do think the dude's successful. I can't knock the fact that the dude's successful. I do think because his dad was successful, he has a big ego. I think he's kind of a dick. I think he's an asshole. I don't necessarily think that means you're a bad coach if you're a dick or an asshole. I think maybe you need to be that kind of guy to have success in the league. But when you do shit like this, when you fire somebody like Steve Wilkes and you fire him in a way where he can't find a job last minute, and now everybody kind of feels like you're scapegoating this dude, your fans are going to forgive you, but other agents around the league, they're not like going to be cool with that. Other agents who represent different coaches, different players, it's like when you F over somebody's client like that, they're not going to forget that. They're not going to forget that. So Kyle Shanahan, I think his ego is getting a little big. I think he's making moves that perhaps he should not be making. And it's just the way he did it. There's nothing wrong. Like I said, there's nothing wrong with firing the guy, but you fire him after all the jobs are filled, screwing him over. That's going to rub people the wrong way, and it's going to bite you in the ass. You think you can treat people like shit, you can get away with it in the short term, but in the long term, it's going to bite you in the ass. Some agent who represents Wilkes later on is going to be like, you know what? I remember that time when you fucked over my client. And you know what? We're not going to sign with you. We're going to sign with this other team for roughly the same amount of money because I don't really like how you treat people. You know what I mean? So it's a big deal. It's a big problem. We'll see if he can get away with it. Maybe Brandon Staley will solve the problem. Shout out to everybody in here, man. We got our record high of people during the live. We're breaking down all the latest news. We got some more news going on around the NFL. We talked about the Raiders up top. Probably we'll talk about them some more. And I'll be surfing the web, seeing if there's anything breaking, any new things happening. And make sure to send us links and let us know in the chat. I want this to be interactive. So much so we have text-to-speech. I've been mentioning it. You could do a text-to-speech where the voice will read out the super chat for anything that's $10 or above. So if you want to chime in that manner, feel free. But a lot going on. Good to hear from people in the chat. Get the likes up, man. We got, I don't even know how many likes, man, but we always need more. Get the likes up right now to help boost us in the algorithm. Good free way to support the show. And then also if you're watching this later, we will have chapters below to sort of locate these different stories and topics. And also let me know if you enjoy this format. If you want me to do it more often, let me know. Let me in the chat below. I live off your feedback. 110 likes. Wow, that's such bullshit. I mean, what do you guys think? So, well, I don't know if I have that one. We had Audrey, I think, Audrey sent some love earlier. And you do have upvotes now on Super Chat. That's a new thing that I haven't seen. So, by the way, shout out to Sir Chai. Look forward to beating Kansas City again at Arrowhead. Raiders. Will they beat the Chiefs again? I think so. But Audrey got us started off right. Call me a DC meat rider for real, clickbait TMZ mother trucker. Not gonna lie though, your thumbnails are straight fire. She got us set off right. And she's got 6 upvotes. So some of you really like that one. Yes, and Audrey is the #1 blocker. I do not block anybody. I'm more free speech, but she's very pro censorship. She's like yeah. She does that. Anyways, we got more stories to talk about. Let's get right into it and talk about some more things. And that is the Chiefs. Now, we talked about all that crazy stuff with the parade, and I don't know, is there any new news about the parade, and do we have any more info on the suspects or anything like that? Because here's the only reason why I care about the suspects is because, like, dude, somebody's got to do time for that, dude. Like that's such a shitty thing that they did. I don't give a shit who it is. Whoever it is. I don't care what they are, who they are, what they believe. Whoever did that, you gotta be punished for that, dude. Like seriously. Like, I don't know. I don't want to get all crazy with it, but no new update on that. I'm taking a look and no new update. So, Chiefs. at the parade, you had Chris Jones make this statement. And what he said is, I ain't going nowhere, baby. I will be here next year and the year after. And remember, Chris Jones had a bunch of contract disputes. He held out last year. I mean, people were like, so much news happens, we forget what happens in the NFL on a daily basis. But Chris Jones held out. He held out. And he lost money. He didn't go to training camp for a little bit. It was a huge deal. So, like, he even liked some tweets that pretty much were sympathetic to the fact that he would join the Raiders. So, and look, the Raiders always need a defensive tackle. You know, I would not mind getting some Chris Jones action there, but he always liked certain tweets that said that. And hey, maybe that's a possibility if the money's right. But when he made a statement like this, I'll be here next year and the year after, makes it seem like he ain't going nowhere.
I ain't going nowhere, baby.
He's doing the Ric Flair. It's like a high-pitched Ric Flair.
And for those who want Chris Jones gone, I ain't going nowhere, baby.
What happened with Hugh Jackson? What are you talking about? Hey, Audrey, if you're not on the stream, don't interrupt me like that. Okay, anyway, so Chris Jones saying that, and does he mean it? Is he capping? That's what we need to figure out. But like, here's the thing. Like, if there's any reason why I'd want to leave the Chiefs, it would be moments like this. I don't give a shit if we won the Super Bowl. But when you're as fat as freaking Andy Reid, I do not want this guy sitting on me like this. Andy Reid sitting on Chris Jones. I mean, come on. Look, Andy Reid, you're not on a low-carb diet. You're not drinking Slim Fast. I don't think that you should be sitting on a player like this. This is pretty freaking bad. Pretty freaking bad. And that happened, and maybe this was a sign that, you know, things will heal and he won't be on the open market. He's set to be a free agent unless they tag him. So if the Raiders or another team who needs a defensive tackle wanted to pursue him, technically they can. Obviously, he seems happy after winning the Super Bowl. You're going to celebrate that no matter what. But yeah, I don't know about that. Good thing that Chris Jones weighs a decent amount, because yikes, that's going to hurt anybody. But what was so funny about this is you had Michael Katz, the agent of Chris Jones, right after he did this whole thing about, I'm not going nowhere, I'm going to be here the next year.
That's all I want to hear from the city, baby. I love y'all. And fucking celebrate, baby. That's all I want to hear.
Yeah, so bad audio, but I'm going to be there next year after. But you had Chris Jones' agent say, cut them off, bartenders, too much. He is stepping in, basically saying, look, dude, you're not a lock to stay in Kansas City. We're going to test the open market and try to get you a lot of money. So I think teams who do want to pursue him are going to be able to. They are going to be able to. And I think his agent is still going to be trying to get the most money as possible. So, hey, if the Raiders want to pursue him, any other team, yeah. By the way, we're covering several NFL stories. That was the plan going into this stream. That is going to continue to be the plan. I am not going to just stop and switch it up out of nowhere because there's just like a few people like complaining or something. I don't care. All right, so we have more things to talk about. Geno Smith, quarterback. Quarterback's a huge issue. Obviously, you got teams that need a quarterback. The Seahawks right now, in terms of the first round, pick 16, people were wondering, are they going to draft a quarterback? Is that possible? A lot of people wondered if they're going to grab somebody like even Anthony Richardson during the draft last year. And Geno Smith now has been told that his money is going to guarantee for the 2024 season. So what it means is the fact that Geno Smith is a lock to stay with the Seattle Seahawks at the quarterback position, despite the fact that they recently got a new head coach instead of Pete Carroll. That goes to show you that they're probably on the outs when it comes to drafting a quarterback in the first round, and they're committing to Geno Smith. So that's one other person that you don't have to compete with when it comes to selecting a quarterback. So takes another person off the market. Good for Geno Smith. He had a down year last year. Obviously, he had the famous year in 2022. I didn't write back though, or they wrote me off, but I didn't write back though, right? But now he's got this $12 million, another $9 million that will be guaranteed March 18th. It is still possible that they could trade him. Maybe they are just keeping him on their roster, and before March 18th, they're going to trade Geno Smith. That's still a possibility. Seahawks have claimed they're committing to Geno Smith. However, he seems very happy and positive about it on social media. And, he's kind of a positive guy. He's the type of guy that you sort of root for, emotional, career backup. Things haven't always been great for the guy in terms of his career after being drafted by the Jets. And now he seems stoked. He seems stoked that things are heading in the right direction for him. People saying that, he's a lock to be with the Seahawks next year. And he says he's only getting better. He's getting pumped up about this on social media. I don't even follow the guy. Maybe I will. So here we go. And there we have it. Geno Smith, another person who's not going to compete with teams like the Raiders for a quarterback. So good to see. Good to see in terms of the draft. We have other stories around the NFL. There, unfortunately, is not literally, I talked about the Raiders news earlier. Unfortunately, there is nothing else happening with the Raiders. One thing that's kind of interesting, and I wouldn't call it news, but Antonio Pierce is going to be interviewed by Max Crosby tomorrow. Obviously, he was interviewed on the Pivot podcast recently. And it looks like he's doing another one with Crosby. Obviously, he's not going to say anything about what he's going to do in terms of roster decisions. Why would he give that information up? But more fun hanging out and building Max Crosby's podcast there. So cool to see. When it comes to other news, other Chiefs players who could be pried, who could be taken away from the Kansas City Chiefs, not only is it Chris Jones, who could be taken away from the Kansas City Chiefs, but you also have L'Jarius Sneed. This is a guy that the Raiders originally wanted to draft, Louisiana Tech defensive back. Raiders ended up selecting Amik Robertson because the Chiefs traded up ahead of the Raiders and grabbed L'Jarius Sneed. He wants money, his contract is up, and he's saying his message to the GM of the Chiefs, Brett Veach, is to pay me, pay me, pay me. That's what he's saying.
That's what I got to say, pay me.
Okay, I don't know, building this dynasty, what would you like to say?
Man, pay me. Pay me. Pay me.
So if the Raiders are willing to pay the guy, it's something that could happen. If another team's willing to pay him, they could pry him away. All these people are going to be on the market. New league year is happening in March. That's a possibility. And hey, Chris Jones. And so you can build a championship team. And that's the thing that makes the NFL so interesting is even when you build a championship team, there's so much movement with all the rosters. Things could change instantly, and you can have new people taking advantage of the situation that other people want to get paid. And there you have it. There you have it. Sneed could be gone. Chris Jones could be gone. All this could be happening. And we covered a decent amount so far today. Let me see if I forgot anything that I want to cover. I have been live since 3 o'clock. It is now 3:58. I have been live for 58 minutes. Shout out to all of you in the chat. I want to talk to the chat. I want to see what you guys have to say. If there's anything that you guys find interesting that you guys want to talk about, let me know. Like I said earlier, we have text-to-speech. If anybody wants to get involved in that. We had Audrey call me a DCD writer. It's funny, too. There's a lot of people. So Saints fans are still making fun of Derek Carr. Even though he did really well at the end of the season. And obviously the injuries were the main thing holding him back. And then, kind of bad teammates like Michael Thomas. But this dude, he tried to make it has copywritten music though. He tried to make a little video sort of making fun of Derek Carr.
Let's go, Pete. Let's go, baby. Come on. Let's go. You ready to rock?
There's been a lot of excitement around this place for a long time.
Come on. Let's go. Let's go. Let's give them what they want.
Let me turn that shit down. My bad. But it's like he clipped up. This guy's name's Caden, and he is trashing him, and he's sort of like, because I retweeted it and I said this is straight fire. Obviously, I'm a very smart individual, and I'm always, when it comes to NFL news and content, I am, most people, there's great people. I'm 1,000 steps ahead of everybody. I know exactly what's going on at all times. So they were sort of acting like, because I repost this, and some of these Saints fans are acting like I'm not aware that this is trolling, this is mockery, this is something that some of these people do who have a lot of free time. I'm totally aware. And so he even reposted, does he know? Apparently this guy thinks about me, and you got other people commenting and chiming in about it. And they're like, LMAO, he doesn't know that like it's a joke and blah, 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 blah. I mean, look, I'm fully aware it's a joke. I just thought the edit was not bad. And it's like, it's trying to make fun of Car with the car commercial, but it's really, really fun music. And it's like clipped up of all the moments of him dancing, which I think was like really, really funny.
On my fucking neck, I was like for bricks. Ain't no way that I be talking on that strap, don't make.
I love it. I love it. I love it. It's just, it's fun. It's fun content. It's great stuff. All the dancing, obviously the car commercial, and
it make no sense.
I don't find it that bad. I think it's freaking badass. I thought it was hilarious. So, it's almost like they're triggered that people like me are still able to enjoy that and have a lot of fun. Have a lot of fun with that still. Trying to find some more stuff though when it comes to Raiders, Timberline saying any news on Gruden. No news on Gruden yet. We're still awaiting to figure out. Basically, the last thing I saw is there's some hearing in July, but they still have to make a decision. Like my most recent video about John Gruden is fully relevant, and yeah, basically we're waiting to see the results of the hearing. That's pretty much it. I got my cat scratching here. Come here, cat. You can see my cat licking their ass right here. Oh shit. But that's pretty much it when it comes to that. So what else are other people saying? JJ McCarthy, you guys are talking about him. Yeah, JJ McCarthy's stock is climbing. Like obviously Jim Harbaugh is trying to hype him up because he was at Michigan. What are you guys talking about? Some dude's channel? Let me see him. Oh, cloud chasing. I will be completely honest and say I do not watch right now. I'm so busy. I don't watch other people's channels, unfortunately. Really professional, like people on TV, I'm able to find time to do that sometimes, but unfortunately I haven't been watching like other people's content, really. I wish I had more time for it. So Jim Harbaugh trying to hype up JJ McCarthy. Don't be surprised when JJ McCarthy is the first QB off the board. And maybe this is his way of sabotaging the rest of the teams in the league. Like you're going to convince them to go grab JJ McCarthy. I mean, that's is that what's going on here? I don't know. But Caleb Williams obviously is going to be taken first. If the Commanders want to take JJ McCarthy second, that'd be great. Let's get Jayden Daniels to fall, please. Michael Penix, I don't think he's going to go that high. I don't think so at all. Some people say they'd rather have Aidan O'Connell. I don't even know if Pierce would rather have Aidan O'Connell. I mean, do you guys think he would? People were talking about, hey, Patrick Mahomes won the Super Bowl without Tyreek Hill, so do you need a great wide receiver these days? Yeah. I mean, I think you need some great referees too, to be completely honest, and maybe you need Taylor Swift too to boost the ratings, to also not have to have a wide receiver. Geno Smith seems very stoked that he's staying in Seattle. There's that going on. Drake May is the best quarterback in this class, according to Tim Hasselbeck, former Seahawks quarterback. I don't know about that. Really, bro? Really? Ted Wynn doing a thought experiment. I love thought experiments like this. This is kind of interesting. What if the Bears keep Fields, draft Caleb Williams, and play Fields to see if he develops? Let Caleb sit for a year. Oh no, oh, that would be a ransom. You keep both of them. That'd be absolutely hilarious. Yeah. I mean, look, because Kirk Cousins, could he be on the market? We know Davante Adams had said that he likes Kirk Cousins, would like to play with him, but Davante Adams is just talking. Jersey swap. We all love a jersey swap. Right there. Kirk Cousins in a Steelers uniform. This was cool though. Did you guys see this? There was like a little breakdown. This was at the NFL Honors. Cam Jordan and Kirk Cousins. And it's like all these dancers came out. And then the best part though, the best part is the shrug. And we all love this shrug, this Kirk Cousins shrug. Riding my pony. That was great to see Cam Jordan, Kirk Cousins, and maybe Kirk Cousins will be boogieing like that in a Raiders uniform next year. Who knows? But they did the genuine pony. Love to see that classic freaking song. So there's a debate. Should the Raiders keep Aidan O'Connell? Now, I mean, that's something to really talk about because like when I saw Aidan O'Connell's recent interviews, to me, this sort of looked like, you know, does he think that it seems like he knows he's going to be a backup. I mean, call me crazy. You know what I mean? It just, when he was recently asked about this, he's like, oh, it makes sense for them to bring in competition and, oh, well, and yeah, I get it, blah, blah, blah. Like, and Pierce has said multiple times, Antonio Pierce, the Raiders, that like, we're going to bring in some competition. I mean, he said that on the Pivot podcast. That's going to happen. So, and look, the bottom line, unfortunately, is if you spend a first round pick on a guy, especially if you trade up, this is just how it goes. Like the team's going to prioritize making that dude the starter. They're going to give them every opportunity to be the starter. And Pierce is like he's definitely like in a win now mode. Like definitely is. And even if he's okay, let's say he's not in a win now mode. Let's say that Pierce has leeway. He has time to build this thing. What's the best, I guess, sort of excuse to kind of keep your job and still keep the organization and people positive is to have a rookie quarterback. Like if he has Jayden Daniels, if he has Michael Penix Jr., he could be like, well, you know, we got a rookie. We got to get through the growing pains. And, oh, well, you know, we're not going to freaking kill it every game. I mean, that's a really good, and that's legitimate. That's legitimate. And so to me, it gives you more job security if you have a rookie quarterback. Like that's why I thought Josh McDaniels was going to trade up to grab a QB because he could have kept his job if he would have had a rookie quarterback. And then you could have been like, well, you know, we're working through the growing pains, you know? Now, a big thing that I don't understand why nobody is talking about this, and I've brought it up in so many videos, and I don't know, you know, maybe just people like comment on other things, but for some reason, people just like I don't know why. They're just not bringing it up. I think it's like a huge deal, which is the fact that the Raiders signed Anthony Brown. Like Anthony Brown, that quarterback who used to be on the Ravens, is on the Raiders. Like he's on the Raiders. To me, that's huge. Like the Raiders have already signed a mobile quarterback. That's very different style of play than Aidan O'Connell. So like this guy's going to be on the roster. Are they just signing him for fun? Like I think they're signing him because they are trying to have some depth that's like that style of QB. And I've said this in so many videos, and it's just like, I mean, maybe just people are commenting on other things, but like we even checked through the comments. Like, did anybody even like, do you hear me? I'm just kidding. Like Brown, one comment mentioning Brown. So that, like, I felt like that was the biggest thing that we brought up in this video, which is the fact that the Raiders signed Anthony Brown. He's going to be on the team in 2024. That's like the biggest thing. And I'm searching Brown. Let me search Anthony to see if anybody said anything. I'm not trying to be a dick. Let's just like, maybe I said it too fast. I don't freaking know. But yeah, the Raiders already signed Anthony Brown. And he's a mobile guy. So you got Luke Getsy, who worked with Justin Fields. And then you got Anthony Brown. And early shows exactly why I'm reacting to me want a mobile quarterback. This happened in early January. The Raiders worked out the former Baltimore Ravens quarterback, the third stringer Anthony Brown. They worked him out, and then eventually on January 8th, according to NFL insider Tom Pelissero, they signed Anthony Brown to a future deal. A lot of people are not talking about this. This quarterback, so 2024, I mean, he's on the team. He's going to be on the roster. Future deal there. You know, I just got reminded of something, and I haven't talked about this enough, and I feel like I should because I made a big video about it and it got a lot of views, and there's been recent updates to it. And I mean, it's not really like big time news, but it's entertaining, and it's also sort of, in my opinion, it's very interesting. And, you know, whenever you make videos about people, you also get paranoid, like if they see them, you know, and sometimes I just try to operate as if like nobody has seen anything that I've ever made. I feel like that's the safest way to go. But, like Chandler Jones, we got to talk about Chandler Jones because there's been several updates and I haven't really made something comprehensive. And like I said, it's mainly because he's kind of in the news, you know? He's kind of in the news, but he's not like on a team or nothing. It's not really Raiders news. But the hilarious thing, and I was very, very, I guess I was, what do I say? Surprised. And I was very happy about the fact that I made a tweet and Chandler Jones actually retweeted it. So we know Chandler Jones had his hit song, Bill Belichick. I mean, most of you guys have heard the hit song by Chandler Jones, Bill Belichick. I'm not going to play the whole thing, but just a quick little, it's always nice to hear a couple sentences, you know?
Oh, how I miss you. I just want to kiss you. They just got rid of you.
So whenever, you know, they fired Bill Belichick, he made his famous song, and it was stuck in my head for a while. It was stuck in my head. So I said, hey, any of y'all still have Bill Belichick by Chandler Jones stuck in your head? And I was also happy that Rose Stabler, Ken Stabler, famous Raiders QB, why am I not following this person? They replied and commented, which was really cool that, you know, the great Ken Stabler's wife is, you know, interacting with us here as Raiders content creators, which is really cool. But Chandler Jones retweeted this. Not many people did retweet this, but yeah, Chandler Jones retweeted me saying that any of you guys have Bill Belichick stuck in your head, and then Chandler Jones did the little RT there. So watch what you say on the internet. Watch who you talk about. People are watching even Chandler Jones. So, and a lot of people related because the song was really catchy. But the big thing and the big thing is like the Chandler Jones situation.
I wasn't
right?
avoiding.
Like, that was a very crazy thing that happened with the McDaniels thing. And we don't really know what the truth was. We know he'd been arrested. We know he made some crazy allegations. This is one of the few videos I made where I had to put a friggin' warning in the beginning. I don't usually have to do that, but that just shows like how crazy some of these allegations are. And so we had this, right?
Derek Carr, Vince Wilfork, all good with McDaniels. McDaniels be doing coke. Hunter Renfrow needs the ball. He's a God-fearing man. Make Carl Nassib a starter or else, and I'm not gay. Get McDaniels the f*** out of there. Oh, y'all don't know what Josh McDaniels really did to Aaron Hernandez?
Right.
Oh. McDaniels had my stepdaughter.
Ladies and gentlemen, things got crazy. And by the way, I wear this shirt way too much, is what I'm finding out. So things got really crazy there. And look, we had a little bit of an update about the guy. We had a little bit of an update with the guy, and he was on this podcast, and where he was basically explaining his situation. Like he was basically sort of reflecting on exactly what happened. And this is the Jackson podcast, friend of the guy. He was trying to make his case, right? We can just see some of these moments. This guy, I believe, is Jackson. He's sort of trying to, basically try to restore Chandler Jones' image. And Chandler Jones recently made a post saying that he wasn't mentally well during that moment. I don't want to go deep into all his allegations, but like he did say a lot of stuff, and I felt like I tried to be sympathetic to the guy because he's always been professional his whole career. Like the dude has never, like, besides the synthetic weed incident, he's always been a good PR guy and one of the captains on Patriots and the Cardinals. But he said that McDaniels and Mark Davis have little penises. Like he said stuff like that. He made a lot of wacky claims, right? I mean, there's no doubt about that.
After that happened, he gave me an option. I didn't tell him what happened. I never told the Patriots what happened to me.
But yeah, so a lot of things. And then here he's trying to sort of clear it up. We know he was arrested for trespassing with his ex, and basically it seems like he's having sort of a custody and legal dispute with his ex, and she's sort of using, from his perspective, she's using the fact that he's a public figure against him in a custody battle, is what we're getting at.
2018, exactly. Yeah. So I met her. I was doing a very vulnerable time in my life when I met her. And I kind of clinged onto her, told her I loved her early, and we was both in love. It was
she got some good pussy. That's what it is. Just say it.
Okay, so yeah, things get a little raunchy throughout this podcast, right? But he's talking about meeting his ex in 2018, who he has a kid with, and she's like sort of the one who's gotten him arrested, like the famous Chandler Jones mugshot. It's due to, some of the things that basically her claims against him.
Basically talk crazy. I can fight too, nigga.
I probably can't get him, but I can get oldest.
He's the oldest. He thought something was real with what she was. He thought he had friends. I had a friend that was living in my house. He thought she was closer than what she was. That's the one you can call a good head and good pussy. Because I told her to get in my house. I told her you can live in my house while I play in Vegas for a year. Stay in my house. This bitch told my brother. This bitch went and told my brother, he's suicidal and he's homicidal. So he took her word.
So okay, let me just tell you what I gather. So there's the situation with his baby mama. We're gonna get more into that. And I made a whole video about the allegations with the McDaniels, the Coke boy and all that. So you guys can check that out. And then maybe I'll rehash some of that. But it seems like he's always, from what I gather, it seems like he's always hooking up with these chicks. And they kind of turn on him, and they call the cops on him, and he claims that they are full of shit. We don't know. But one of these chicks who he was hooking up with claimed that he was suicidal in his mansion in Vegas. And look, he seems like a wacky guy, but he doesn't seem like he's complete. He doesn't seem out of it to me. Just what do you guys think? In my perspective, he seems like he is normal, right? Not normal, but he can have a conversation and knows what he's talking about. So that's why this is a very interesting thing. The fact that he's arrested, the fact that he's not part of an NFL team, I find that crazy because he's still one of the greatest pass rushers of all time. You could talk all the shit you want on this guy. You could say, oh, he has CTE. Oh, he's freaking stupid or whatever, he's crazy, he lost his mind. But what do we know about freaking the NFL? The NFL does not give a shit. Like they don't care. As long as you produce on the football field, they don't care. They don't care if you're wacky. They don't. They're trying to literally make as much money as possible and get some people to ball out, you know? And Chandler Jones is one of the top active sack leaders. Literally, he's up there with like Cam Jordan stuff. Let me pull it up real quick. So when it comes to active, as of 1982, active sack leaders, where is it? Chandler Jones. He's number 3. Like only Von Miller, Cam Jordan, and Justin Houston, and he has more sacks than Aaron Donald out of active players in the NFL. So I'm not gonna lie, dude. Like I find it weird that like he's just like totally not like on a team. You know what I mean? It's just kind of weird. You would think that somebody would just be like, oh, you know, he's kind of wacky, but who gives a shit? We need a pass rusher. And that's what I figured the Raiders would do, but things got so bad where it just didn't work out.
Word and said, all right, I'm Chandler's guardian. I'm 33 years old. I don't need no fucking guardian. I'm Chandler's guardian. We're going to put him in a psych ward. I was in there for 3 fucking weeks, no phone call, sitting there jacking off, coming to myself.
I mean,
See, I mean, like, he's weird. I mean, I think he admits he smokes a lot of weed, so he's kind of like a loose, weird guy. But he was in a psych ward for 3 weeks. I mean, he's a weird guy, but I don't think he's like a dude who needs to be in a psych ward for 3 weeks. Maybe you guys let me know in the chat. I'm trying to hear from you guys.
The thought of mental, yeah.
Oh, yeah, you laughing? Look at my face.
Yeah, you serious? The thought of.
I do not know why he gave up that information that he was doing that in the psych ward, but nonetheless, he did. And so we found out some more stuff.
The fans, but what do I owe to myself? What do I owe to myself? My whole adulthood, and I know people have been calling me crazy. They've been calling me manic for my behavior, and I know I've been posting shit, and I've been drawing attention to myself, and I look-key want to build a community for players after retirement because.
So like he knows he's trolling. He knows he's doing trippy stuff. He knows he knows he's being wild on social media. Like like that to me is what sticks out to me and what's so true. Like the reason why I feel like I take him more seriously than some of the other people who are giving him credit is because, or who are not giving him credit and kind of slandering him is because like he seems like self-aware. He seems somewhat self-aware about what's going on. You know what I mean?
There was a part of me that was on Instagram, and I felt like I was that percentile that's saying, "Hey, I need attention," because I wanted attention. I posted my genitals on the internet.
Why are you posting?
But I don't know. Maybe like he, after getting kicked out of the NFL, maybe he wants attention. But think about this guy's whole life. Like his whole life in the league, it's been just straight up hardcore discipline, hardcore like all day NFL, like basically military style, more intense than that, right? High profile athlete, always having to do good PR. And so when he finally got released, it seems like he's sort of freed up to sort of just do whatever and be wacky.
I'm single. Girls will see my big dick.
Why?
Because I'm single. I'm still single. I've been single for 6 years, but I've been living with my baby mama, the one that's mad now. I was living with her. So now I'm trying to expose myself to say, hey, y'all can come fuck me.
Bro, you wild.
And so look, I think he is obviously like he's joking around. Like he's not actually like that's a zany comment, but I think it's like he's been an athlete. He's been so disciplined, having to do the perfect PR this whole time. But he's now like able to be loose, joke around, say whatever he wants. And, you know, he shouldn't have posted his nudes publicly on the internet like that, but he could do whatever. He's not a part of a team right now. Nobody's hiring him. So he technically could do whatever the fuck he wants. Like, really? And it's crazy. I think it's freaking hilarious, honestly. But, I mean, imagine being under that strict discipline and now you can finally be, you know, sort of free.
What kind of factory he got going on that Jackson?
That's the only thing.
He was on live.
Oh, he was on live.
He was on live.
I thought he posted it.
No, he was on live. And I
you
was
watched
like,
it, huh?
No.
Yeah, he did. He did.
They're talking about watching this dude's news. Okay, so what Audrey's bringing up is true. Like, the worst thing that Chandler Jones did do, I gotta freaking watch ads on my own video. By the way, I hate the ads too. The worst thing that Chandler Jones did was he did make some crazy allegations against McDaniels and Mark Davis. I think that's why. I think that's actually why he's not.
McDaniels had them niggas fucking my baby mama and they scared.
And had someone do something to his stepdaughter.
I think McDaniels had them niggas fucking my baby mama and they scared of me. McDaniels had them niggas fucking Sahara, doing something to Sahara Samad. McDaniels had them doing something to her, and that's why all the niggas on the team scared of me. I don't want y'all niggas to be scared of me. I don't. But if y'all niggas was being malicious towards my baby mama, she gonna have to handle that, cause she powerful now. McDaniels had my baby mama and my stepdaughter. McDaniels had my stepdaughter.
Like, okay, so like, I don't.
That's why I went crazy. I didn't even go crazy. I wore a hoodie one day like a Muslim.
Hopefully this guy, hoodie so he's very incoherent here, and it sounds like super crazy. And I think the fact that he did that, he did the Aaron Hernandez thing that you guys famously know, like where he said that about McDaniels. He said some shit about Mark Davis too, and he basically assumed that like Mark Davis is in on some of that malicious behavior. And so I think that's really why he's not in the NFL. Because that's a little too crazy. It's really hard to come back from that. Once I found out what was done to this little girl, I wasn't allowed back in the building. And he was very incoherent because he was claiming that that his actual kid is technically Larry Fitzgerald's kid. Like, he was claiming some crazy stuff. If I had to assume, and I'm just assuming, and this is all allegedly, this is just fact, if I had to assume what was going on, what he's not actually admitting is the fact that I think he was probably on some type of substance that was making him a little crazy, right? Like something other than weed. If I had to guess, I'm just guessing. I'm not putting that on him. So, he goes into a psych ward for 3 weeks after that. He comes out. He seems normal now, and that's good. And then I guess the new update, just to be clear, the new update for him is, he said this: over the past few months, I've been dealing with some personal matters, but I'm happy to share that I'm feeling much better now. I want to express my heartfelt gratitude to my family, friends, and fans for your unwavering love and support. Additionally, I want to offer a sincere apology to anyone I may have unintentionally offended. Your understanding and support means the world to me. So, look, yeah, like is he going to apologize to Josh McDaniels? Because look, he said some shit about that guy, and I'm not a big Josh McDaniels fan, but you can't say that about people, especially if it's not true. And that was bad. That was bad, and so I think that's why it's going to be hard for him to really bounce back from that.
It said Bear Joint. I waved at him.
All right, so, and what was another?
Bill. And then hire him.
Why do you always wear the same gray shirt? Also, why do you ride DC's meat like you're on carnivore diet?
Dial up Audrey, come in with a text-to-speech. By the way, guys, $10 or more gets you a text-to-speech so you can do bangers like that one from Dial Up Audrey. Calling me a Derek Carr, DC. Looks like she's appropriating some of the comments from Twitter and other places like that. Yeah, but appreciate that. And yes, that is my wife. That is my wife saying that. I somewhat told her to not let loose, because I was basically just trying to encourage more people to support the stream that way, and I feel like that's a fun way to support the stream other than fake drinking. Sorry, I'm going to talk shit other than fake drinking that other people seem to do. We are losing viewers probably because I'm talking about Chandler Jones, and this is why I said that I originally was not going to really cover any of this stuff, because I feel like, especially most people who are watching our show, you're primarily just interested in the latest football stuff. And this is kind of no longer like really a football topic, really. But yeah, he is apologizing. That is something that that came out today. You know, him apologizing for doing that. I mean, I don't know. It is hilarious though. I do, you know, honestly, I'm still gonna dig in a little bit. Let's just see because there's some more that I think was pretty good.
Look at her. Oh yeah, she bad. My milk and magnesia.
We look up to John as the best.
John has to go to this school. John has always had to be separated from.
He said, "Oh hell, let me."
I felt like I was that percentile.
Okay, we already heard that.
I'll fight.
Where did he talk about the main baby mama drama? I think it's just this.
Yes, I've been to psych wards in Arizona, and there's a lot of people in these psych wards that are very sane and sitting there talking to me intellectual, just like us three. Yeah. And it hurts my heart that they got to sit through there, and their family members are my brother Arthur, not John. Arthur, he's the one that put me in psych ward.
All right, so we heard that already, but yeah, talking about the psych wards, talking about the baby mama drama.
Cloud miss.
Tell me about it. How long you been with it?
And so that's basically the crux of this. And we'll find out more about the Chandler Jones situation in the future. I'm sure there'll be more of an update. And you know what, man? Even though he's zany, he says wacky stuff, even though he seemed like he was off his rocker and said a lot of things about McDaniels, a lot of things about the Raiders, a lot of things. Hugh Jackson's not on the... Dude, okay, so like, this is what we got to... What will the Raiders do at QB? I don't know. Maybe Jayden Daniels. I don't know. Maybe they'll trade up. I don't know. Nobody knows. Nobody knows. 2, free agency draft. Have no idea. We got to find out March 13th. There's no rumors, no report. Nothing's come out. Hugh Jackson, no, he hasn't been added. So, I wish there was some more Raiders shit. I really do wish. Offensive line guy. That nothing happened. Nothing happened there. I'm trying. Maybe I'm just indulging myself with the Chandler Jones stuff, but I like there's no... I went through all the updates and unfortunately, that's it. I think that's it. So maybe I should hang it up. All right. Antonio Pierce is going to be on the rush with Max Crosby tomorrow, and that's true. That's another thing. No update on Gruden. What's my Wi-Fi password? Russell Wilson, is that possible? Some people say no. Well, okay, you know what? That's actually an update. We have an update. We have something. We have something. We freaking have something. Because there was somebody who said that. I think it was Jeremy Fowler. There's a Raiders beat reposted it. But I think it was Jeremy Fowler who said, oh no, it was Jordan Schultz. Jordan Schultz. He basically said that he would be surprised if Russell Wilson ends up on the Raiders. Jordan Schultz is a very cool guy, very friendly, very approachable, and I think he's going to become one of the best and biggest NFL insiders, bigger than Rappaport in the future. He's really rising, and he gets a lot of information first before a lot of people. And that's what he said is he's been told that he'd be surprised if Russell Wilson joins the Raiders, and it's actually more possible that Russell Wilson restructures his contract and stays with the Broncos. So Russell Wilson and the Raiders, unfortunately, for all of us who wanted that, doesn't look like it's likely going to happen at this point. Yikes, yikes, yikes. So that's an update. We got ourselves a freaking update. We got an update. It's a beautiful update. I think I talked too loudly. I'm already losing my voice. Oh shit. You know, there's nothing wrong with being corny. I mean, Russell Wilson, I've made fun of him. Like I have a compilation making fun of him. But I also have a soft spot for him. I have a soft spot for everybody. You know what? I even have a soft spot for Josh McDaniels. I'm just kidding. That's how I roll sometimes. I have a soft spot for everybody. So Brandon Ayuk, we didn't really talk about that. I think that's the one thing I forgot. So we just know that the guy is from Vegas or from Nevada. He seems like unhappy with the Niners. And it's to the point where the dude may be on the move. He was asked if he's going to be with the Niners, if that's the right move. Yeah, is what he said. We did a video about that, breaking some of that down. Yeah, Audrey was saying we lose people when we don't talk about the Raiders. Yeah. Oh, well. I mean, I can't just be like, there's Raiders news when there's not. Well, Brandon might go to the Raiders. There's no, I mean, he knows Antonio Pierce. He likes the guy, but nothing really connecting there. I am losing my voice. Ooh, shit. I am losing my voice a little bit. Should I make up some shit? What, you're saying I should make up news? Brandon Ayuk's taking over as owner? I mean, oh, okay, yeah, here we go. There we go. We can talk about anything. Well, I mean, nah, he said nah. He's wearing shades. Whenever you're wearing shades, you know what? I hate to say it. Who's another guy who's always wearing shades at press conferences? Davante Adams. To me, that shows you're kind of checking out. You don't want people to see what you're up to. See what you're thinking. So he is not having it, not happy. Over the media, over the reporters, definitely. You could see that. All right, so let's just talk about stuff. I want to hear from you guys, man. I want to see people chime in. Let's get interactive. Yeah, but okay, when you're doing a press conference, like if I wore shades, wouldn't that be sketchy? If I wore shades here, you'd be like, what the hell? Oh, I thought I had some, but don't. But you guys would be like, what the hell? we can't see you, buddy. Derek Carr expected to re-sign with the Raiders? Oh, are you breaking news? Tom Brady hired a hydration specialist. Yeah, what is Tom Brady doing? Tom Brady is definitely going to be a minority owner, which kind of sucks. I mean, I'm not super into that. I do like the idea of calling Tom Brady the whitest motherfucker ever, calling him a minority. I do like doing that. Tom Brady, the minority. Yeah, but his purchase of the Raiders is definitely back on track. That's something that is for sure going to happen. Where should I put this shit? Yeah, seems like it's moving on up. Something that is still on the table. We thought it was off the table, but it looks like this shit is definitely on the table still. Is Daniel Carlson washed? I think Daniel Carlson is still solid. I don't think you could do much better than him. Niners downfall? Nah, I don't think not. Niners are going to still be the Niners, man. And they could have easily beaten the Chiefs just one play away. Really. I need a couple Wi-Fi Willie videos today. You know what's crazy? Like, there's all that stuff I talked about in this live. Maybe I should have just made videos. I don't know. Probably. They would have been short, though, because there's not much going on. Randy Moss, what's going on with him? Is Mark going to have kids? I don't think Mark Davis is going to have kids at all. And that is the big... That is the big thing about the Mark Davis with the Brady, is because Mark Davis doesn't have kids, they're pretty much looking to see like who is going to take over the Raiders. And because Mark Davis doesn't have kids, whoever is the minority owner would have an easier chance of fully taking over the Raiders. It is to the point, and I hate saying this, down the road, how everything is lining up, because Mark Davis doesn't have kids, when he is no longer the owner, when he steps down, if, Lord forbid, if he ever goes to the other side, I think Brady will be the full-time owner of the Raiders. Like, he'll be the... I think I would not be surprised if 30. How old is Mark Davis? Mark Davis, like, if 30 years from now, I would not be surprised if Brady just straight up owns the Raiders. 68 years old? Yeah, less than 30 years from now, would not be surprised if Brady just straight up owns the Raiders. Because that's what they're saying is shaking out here. Basically, because Davis has no heir. It's heir, right? I always mispronounce that. H-E-I-R. Maybe I'm freaking stupid. Who knows? I don't know. But like, back on track to be a minority owner, and Davis doesn't like. It's like Davis wants him to own the team once he's done. That's what it seems like at this point. There's somebody else who in my video that I made on this, where I cover this in one of the other videos. Like, that's part of it. Part of it. Darren McFadden. Darren McFadden was sick. I think a lot of Raiders fans would rather Derek Carr own the Raiders than freaking Brady. I can guarantee that shit. Guarantee that shit. All right, I should have stopped streaming a long time ago. I'm finally going to do it. We'll see if we do this again. I'm going to add chapters for those who are coming in a little bit later. We only have a few people here now at this point. Oh, well, I guess, you know. But peace out, guys. We'll see how this goes. If we should keep this like a weekly show going. We tried to do some things, but yeah, I mean, I'm not sure. What are you guys talking about? Stealing content? Who's stealing content? No, I'm not gonna just watch. That Al Davis video was whack. They're trying to act like Davis always wanted to move to Vegas. That just sounds like such bullshit. Yeah. I want to go live more, but yeah, I mean, I got to make more videos too. But I do like this, like talking about all the news, stuff like that is pretty cool. And there's a lot to cover. I mean, not just Raiders, but the whole NFL. So there's all that. Basketball games. I'm trying to become a Trailblazers fan, but honestly, I don't want to buy NBA Pass to watch the game, so I don't think it's going to happen. But anyways, all right, I'm going to peace out, you guys. Peace out, y'all, and I hope you have a good one.